YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Texans Better Talk Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Texans content. Look, I don't know how it's possible for anyone to say that the Texans should not draft an offensive lineman in the first or second round after watching that Super Bowl. We can argue, we can sit here and debate, should O-line be the first pick off the board? Should it be this in the second round? Look, I don't care necessarily. I think it depends on who's there, so it's kind of a pointless argument. But you cannot convince me that we shouldn't draft an O line in the first or second round. Look, Patrick Mahomes was pressured around 38% of the time on his dropbacks in the Super Bowl, and he played like that. Stroud's averaged like 39% on the season. In the divisional round, Stroud was pressured 51% of the time against Mahomes this year. Only Stroud didn't throw a pick six. He didn't throw an interception. He had 0 turnovers. He had 287 yards. He performed better under pressure than Patrick Mahomes did this postseason. I can flat out tell you that. CJ Stroud performed better under pressure than Patrick Mahomes did this postseason. Again, Patrick set a low bar, but that's just more power to the offensive line. That's how important the offensive line is. I don't know how you watch that and you don't think to yourself, we need to draft an offensive lineman in the first or second round. I am pretty dead set on that. Again, we can argue it. I'm sure people will. And to all my free agency people out there, it's going to be expensive. If you want to go get the Chiefs right guard in free agency, you're going to have to pay him like $30 million a year, realistically. Can the Texans do that with the contracts they have with Shaq Mason and Titus Howard? Like, I don't know if they can realistically do that. Good linemen are expensive when they're available in free agency. That's just the reality. I think you need to draft a guy. I think it needs to be in the first or second. And now let me talk about the player of this video that I want to bring up about this offensive line candidate, and that is Gray Zabel. Now, Gray Zabel was regarded pretty much as like a third, I don't want to speak for everyone, but a later round pick until he absolutely dominated at the Senior Bowl. Now, Gray Zabel is 6'6", 316 pounds, a fifth-year senior, offensive tackle, a left tackle specifically, for the North Dakota State Bison. That is the FCS, and that is the NCAA Missouri Valley Conference. So that's an FCS player. That's not an FBS player. Again, I would not be recommending him if it had not been for the Senior Bowl, and that's the reason why we wait for the Combine. We wait for the Senior Bowl. We want to see how FCS players look against FBS players, etc. We want to see who can stand up, right? If you can play, they'll find you. That type of a thing through the Senior Bowl. Now, in this conference, FCS, 7 pressures and 1 sack allowed, so not that bad at all. And he played at that left tackle spot. And let me just summarize his playing by saying this. He looked like a man among boys playing at that conference. Just his size, his grittiness. I mean, he is the type of offensive lineman that's just gritty, plays with such like tenacity, and just like he plays angry at the line. I mean, really just wants to drive your head into the dirt every snap. And that's the type of lineman I want. I want a lineman who's gritty, who's tough, who just wants to put you in the dirt. He's from South Dakota. I like a good corn-fed lineman. I like a good old boy lineman. Like, give me that type of lineman. This dude just has the look and feel of a great lineman. But let's actually get into some of the film and talk about why I like him so much. So the pros are, and I've already kind of said this, he wants to hit you at first contact. He really wants to hit you. He wants to maul you. He also has great reflexes and kind of a surprisingly quick instincts for his size. Again, 6'6", 316 pounds, plays offensive tackle. He looks a lot smaller than that in a good way, like in terms of his instincts, his reflexes, and a really strong lower half. What I love about Zabel that I think made him so successful at the Senior Bowl, and we'll talk more about that later, but it was his ability to win leverage. Like, so many times you watch offensive linemen and you're saying to yourself, man, he just needs to fix his leverage. He needs to fix his pad level. Like, it's unnaturally high pad level. You hear that a lot because a lot of players up until this point have relied on their size, on their strength to just stand up straight and stick their arms out and block a guy. Zabel really lowers his pad level. He gets the leverage. He lowers his base, and it's like pushing a cargo, a big cargo shipping container across the ground. Like, that's how low he is. That's his leverage. I'm exaggerating a little bit. He did get beat a couple times. Point is, he knows his technique. He knows how to win. And some of the cons, hand placement is the biggest con with Zabel. Punches outside, grips the outside shoulder pads a lot. Again, didn't really matter in the Senior Bowl, but that is something you kind of have to fix in his technique. Also, he had 8 penalties in 2023. So that might be something to consider. He was one of the most penalized linemen in that conference, I believe. I know he was up there. A lot of penalties. I didn't look at the nature of them. I'm assuming maybe some false starts, maybe some holds. Again, probably coming from that really wide hand placement that he probably just doesn't let go of. So that's not the best. Obviously, want to fix penalties. We've seen too many bad penalties from Texans offensive linemen. Here's the other thing. He's got a lot of college experience. Again, fifth year senior. He's taken 2,400 snaps as a Bison at North Dakota State. 2,400 snaps. So he's played everywhere on the line as well, except for center. So he's played right guard, right tackle, left tackle. He's played everything. But at the Senior Bowl, they also gave him some reps at center. So he was snapping the ball, played the whole line. So kind of more of a versatile lineman. Another thing I love about him, he's constantly churning his feet, resetting, again, just creating that leverage. He really creates displacement too in the run game. Killer instincts at the line, and he can also get to the second level. And when he's getting to the second level and these linebackers are coming at him, he really absorbs their contact as he should at that size. And he's quick enough on his feet to get there. Here's the thing about Zabel. I know what you're thinking. He's a left tackle, played tackle in college. He projects to be an interior lineman in the NFL because he has short arms. If you know anything about the tackle position, arm length is like the biggest thing. Like you can be 6'3", you can be 6'4", but your arms have to be a certain length. That's like a big metric that the scouts use. They really want to see you have like 34, 33-inch arms. So Zabel, his arms are only 32 and a half inches. Yes, I looked that up to figure out his arm length. And I've just heard, the kind of majority opinion is that he will move to interior offensive lineman because of that arm length. So now that we've kind of talked about that, and again, he's played it before in college. It's not like he's just, a left tackle. He's played both guard sides. He's played right tackle. He's played everything. But why is he rising in the ranks? Remember when I said like maybe third, fourth round pick? After the Senior Bowl, he is pretty much a consensus second round pick. Some people have him going early in the first. Let me say that again. Third round pick to first round pick. At the Senior Bowl, his dominance was unquestioned. He was the best performing lineman at the Senior Bowl. Pretty much every day, all three practices, he was the best performing lineman. He played center at the Senior Bowl, like I mentioned earlier. He also played guard. They did not put him at tackle. He had equal success at both positions. Some of the drills at the Senior Bowl are designed to let the edge rushers kind of show off, to showboat, because they get to choose which side to rush, and there's no help, obviously, on either side. So he's playing at the guard position. Essentially, the edge rushers is coming straight at him, gets to dictate the speed, the movement, all that stuff. And obviously, you don't have the snap count advantage being at that guard spot. So anyway, these drills were designed to showcase the edge rusher's ability, and Zabel got beat, I think, one time, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, his leverage was perfect, absorbing contact. And these aren't the guys that North Dakota State's playing, right? These are future NFL players that he's just absorbing. One other thing I'll say, if you're still not convinced, is that he had one of his best games against Colorado, which I know isn't like the best college team, in the world, but he had a really great game against Colorado and their defensive front seven. So he also stood up against speed, which is sometimes, you can absorb the bull rush, but are they just going to run around you? You see that constantly, right? And even in a drill where that's like, the method for an edge rusher and he gets to show off, he gets to run around you, he kept up with him speed-wise too. So like I said, he played, in some of his, games as Bison weren't great as well. It wasn't all perfect. That also contributed to, his lower kind of draft stock or whatever coming into the Senior Bowl. But he played really good against future NFL talent. And that's really all you can ask for. So again, Gray Zabel, a name to remember. I really like him. He just fits like an O-line mold. Like when I think of an O-lineman, I think of a guy like Gray Zabel. Just big, 6'6", good weight. Really has grown into his frame over the past couple of years. 5-year senior, 2,400 snaps, seen everything, played pretty much every line position, and technique's great. He's performing really well at the Senior Bowl, and he's just accomplishing way above what has been asked of him so far at the Senior Bowl. So that is one of my picks to keep your eye on. I could see him going late first or early second. So the Texans obviously could take him at 25. Maybe some people aren't feeling comfortable with that. Again, just depends on the names that are there, but he's been drawing a lot of eyes at the Senior Bowl, so just keep your head on a swivel for Gray Zabel and remember that name. So that's all I got for this video, guys. But what do you think? Do you think we should draft him? Do you think it's a dice roll? Do you like what you're hearing? Do you like what you've seen from Zabel? And let me know in the comments, guys. I will see you on the next one, man. Peace out.